Sabrina Park, welcome to the lockdown sessions. How are you?
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very good. Even though it is lockdown in Korea, I feel very happy right now.
You're an executive coach, a platform speaker for many years, part of the ICF. You run your own sort of programs across actually the world where you encourage people to find their happiness, their place for peace. So you and I have worked together, I realized, nearly 8 years, and we've only actually met once when you were in London a few years ago. So it's a pleasure to have you here and get a different perspective on these lockdown sessions. And I always start them in exactly the same way, by asking one question and seeing where we go from there. And it's, as you sit there in Korea during lockdown, what have you, as an executive coach, what have you been observing in the people around you, in yourself, with your clients during this period? What's your observations of how people are operating and behaving?
Okay, about myself first. Actually, the workload has been decreased in the beginning of pandemic. In February, Korea started to notice. So from March, government announced school don't open, so they close. So now until now, every school's closed.
Wow.
So, and then education and training, offline training has been canceled or postponed. So in my case, I was really hectic. Oh, if I lose my job, if I do not have any clients, I really was fear, and I was unstable about my future. And luckily, I could have a lot of friends who are coaches and families, and who can say positive things about myself that really encourage me. And I also meet a lot of Facebook friends rather than face-to-face friends. So they really reply good words for me, encourage me. So between March and April, I was a kind of a very slow, and I just try to be positive energy. And then my business is getting better from May. Organizations start to have coaching and training, offline training as well. We use the mask and everything. That is a different one. So the feeling wise, I really had a hard time for 2 months. If I do not have it like this, that really make me unstable and fear, not COVID-19. So I think COVID-19 doesn't affect me, but the reaction to the COVID-19 really impact me.
Yeah, I think that actually what you describe, a number of people, particularly those running their own business, felt when organizations were also worried and fearful of, what will this pandemic do? And they were not shutting down so much, but everyone's working from home, so no one's coming into the office. I think everybody stopped everything. And then when they realized, what, this isn't going away, we can't just stop trainings, we can't just stop coachings. Actually, life carries on, just in a different way. Then I think your story is felt by many people. Those first few months, the fear is there of, wow, what's happening here? And then as people start to try and find a path, they come back. And I realized not everybody is as lucky. Some people are not invited back, or people with new business. You've been in business many, many years, so your clients, your support groups are positive with you. You said you'd start with yourself. What about with the people around you, with clients? What have you noticed with them? Because I like your line that actually it's not COVID that affected you. It was what would happen to the business was affecting you because of the pandemic. So what else have you observed around you?
Actually, my friends are fine. There are not so much impact, but some friends who run the small business like hair beauty salon and flower shop, because of a lot of events canceled. So flower is a really low business.
Yeah.
So she also felt difficulties. So only those people who run the small business felt the difficulties, but now a little bit recovering now. And some people around me, I think around me, people, they didn't feel that much strong. But in my case of elder sister, she was a consultant for the students who want to study in abroad. But USA didn't give a visa, so she lost her job. So now she is looking for another job. So many people lost their job, and then they start to consider about their future. They start to think about a new job. So it is time for those people like my sister, uh, who really needs coaching now.
Yeah.
So I really want to support my sister. That is a big impact on our family, and yeah, and my nieces and nephews. They work. Some people work for the big company, so they also try to keep the financial state. And someone who work for a part-time job, they also try to keep the balance, but not, it is okay. They are working for real estate. So many people invest money on the real estate or stock market, or kind of bio or some IT. So in Korea, the stock market is very rising. It is funny. So
It's a big one, isn't it? Real estate here in the UK is terrible now. As a business function, I wouldn't want to be in real estate, because a number of the offices are really struggling to get people to come back to the office. I think there's been a shift. It feels like a shift. When
yes.
people are working from home, they don't do the commute. Actually, they can be quite productive. You work with teams. You and I have done projects with clients on building teams and building that energy in teams. And actually, teams have been functioning quite fine working from home. In my head, there's a question all the time about, I wonder what happens if we don't go back to work. We don't go back to the office, or only some people do, or because of social distancing, only 20 people one week and then 20. I think teams will change forever, the way we function. Is it the same in Korea, or is that just what we're seeing here in the UK?
Actually, many global companies are focusing on working at home, but
Yeah.
many big companies in Korea, they prefer to work at site. So in case of Hyundai Motors, which my one of the niece are working, so she always goes to the work with a mask, and then she only had 2 weeks working at home, and now yeah. So many of the Korean big companies and Korean companies usually they don't use the working at home, but many global companies are working at home. So
Yeah.
many of my clients are from global companies. So all of them are working at home. And then in this case, they have some uh, problem to have some work-life balance because they are at home. So they just forgot the lunch time, so keep working. So now they adjust to themselves to work at home. So they start to stop working during lunchtime, like at office. And then they start to, I needed to exercise. So they just adjusted themselves to work at home. And then CV19 shows who we are when we have some problem in family relationship. It is not easy for them, those people who have a hard time with a relationship. It is very hard to work at home because the atmosphere is very heavy. So in the case, someone who doesn't have a good relationship with their wives or children, it is very uh, not good for them. That is what I found out from coaches. So I started coaching about some relationship, family relationship as well. That really impact on the work.
It's, I suppose as well, if you live in an apartment, it must be even more difficult
Yes.
because here where I live is very rural, a house and a garden. So, and I work from home 25 years already. So lockdown actually, from a personal point of view, was not so challenging to be locked down in the house in the village. But I was speaking to many coachees, and they're living in a city, in London, let's say, or in Paris, in a small apartment with their kids who are now not at school, or a husband or a partner who suddenly they're together all the time. You're right, the relationship challenge becomes even more acute. Did you find that coaching was able to help them find a new balance? Because that's always our intention, right? With coaching is to help people find their own path. How does it
Yeah.
work when it's relationship based? Um, what kind of things are you doing with people to help them see a different way of doing things at home?
Actually, one of my coaches, he just talk about those things, and so I just coaching about the relationship with a couple, and I also got some offer from education department in town. So they want me to provide some coaching program for the mothers who should control the children who do not attend the online session. They just turn on the online and they just look at other things, and then they just don't do those homework. So actually, not only company, all the mothers who has teenagers and elementary school, children, they are really, really hectic. They should provide a meal 3 times. They should control the education. They should be a teacher, mother, and
Yeah.
cooker. So they should do a lot of things. So how can we do this better? So I designed some program. So I will start it the next month. So education department also very, very think about that because many children, we do not say every children has a nice place to
Right.
attend the online. So some people have a really small house, so they do not show their, background sometimes. And then they do not have a mobile, internet and everything. So that is not ready. So education department start to give us some iPad or something. They do something also, but it is very, very huge, loss. So children also want to meet a friend, especially in childhood and teenagers. they really need a relationship with their age,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it is
yeah.
not easy. So I just provide coaching with the IT solution. So they will have some kind of online community. So what I am focusing on for the future mother, I just told them mother leadership is required strongly after COVID-19. So they should organize their family as a team. The mother is not the only one who is responsible for the family, but in Korea, many people think mother should be responsible for the family. But no, it is time to work together, teamwork, collaboration with the other family. So in the future, community is very important. So actually, we have a very um, family selfish. I don't know in
Hmm.
English.
No, it
So
makes
just
sense.
yeah. So they just focusing on their family only. But after COVID-19, we needed to see other family and we can create a better relationship with all the people in the neighborhood that is really needed for the future education. I think the pandemic will last 3 years. So I just guess 3 years. So it will end maybe like 2022. So it is lost, I'm guessing. So, but many people now feel a little bit less fear. In Korea, the death rate is not high. And Korea is very easy to access to the drugstore and hospital. In my town also there are more than 10 drugstores. So I can buy medicine and medication and I can visit the hospital very easily. So that is one of the reasons many Korean people feel less fear about the COVID-19. So,
I also think that, one of the problems we have here in the UK is I don't think we're so used to or compliant when it comes to instruction. Uh, Part of Asian culture is mask wearing. And I think this makes a really big difference because just to get people in the UK to wear masks is a really big problem.
oh,
Really, right? Maybe I don't know whether it's 50-50, 60-40, but I was out twice in the last few days in London, and I saw more people actually not wearing masks than I saw people wearing masks.
mhm.
And I know that from my own travels to Asia, when there isn't a pandemic, the culture is actually to protect ourselves from germs, to protect me from giving you germs. When I'm out, I wear a mask, not just with pollution, but, with my health. And I think that's maybe as well another reason in Korea that you were able to so quickly shut down the really negative impacts of this virus. Because when you think about how many millions of people are in your country, the control you guys have had over this pandemic have been incredible, the results. I know there was a little spike when you opened up a bit and it was coming mainly from the bars when people are maybe a little drunk, so they're not following the rules. But really, Korea is like New Zealand. It's one of the beacons for the world of you closed it down quickly, you gave everyone their instructions and people followed it. And maybe this helps with then people coming out of it with not having this fear because of the feel. There was something you said earlier I'd really like to know more. I loved what you said about mother leadership. I think this is a beautiful phrase. And you talked about working as a family and across families, almost in the same way we would talk in a corporate client about
Right,
cross-functional teams.
right.
This is what you're thinking, right?
Yes. So there is a silo between, other functions. So between family and all. So I want to, actually there will be, the session will be done in offline and online together. So people will be there, 10 or 20 people in the offline. And then there is a Zoom, so many people will join also. So I'm going to do this. So I want to create some community for the people because this program is done by a small town. So there is other province nearby my place, and then that believes you want to have some, session with mothers. So most important thing is we really needed to open what we really can do better. How can we collaborate together? So my suggestion is we can create some small group for each grade. So for example, if there are some elementary school friend, third grade or fourth grade, so there are some mothers, so we can make some group. So they can do online together. So they can just support and coach it together. So where are you now? So what do you do? So they check each other. So they can communicate with their age. That is very important. Children really need to learn from each other. So they want to be connected and communicated. So I want to do that together. And then mother also needed to make a ground rule about the IT and on online a game or something. So we said media literacy. So they can make some ground rule with the family all together, how we can manage our pandemic situation. So they should know the current situation. Children also learn from mother how to deal the pandemic. So COVID-19 can teach children to learn how to take a risk and how to protect and how to manage it, how to adapt themselves to the IT. So COVID-19 has a lot of positive side as well. So that really makes us think about ourselves more. And I also asked myself, if there is no COVID-19, what would your business look like? Would it be different from now? So when I think about that, I just start to focus on my qualification, my skill, my mindset. So I try to be more positive. Only thing that I really recommend all the people to keep positive energy all the time. Life is not so much weak. We can trust our life. We can trust ourselves. Everybody has a really strong DNA, strong potential to break through this pandemic.
How do you help people find that positive energy when their natural instinct is worry, fear, maybe nervous, or maybe already they have existing negativity in their life for whatever reason? How, for people who are listening to this, um, what could they do to focus that positive energy you talk about?
Actually, I do some world peace movement since 2016. So I could say that project is a positive 100 days project. I'm doing this on Facebook, and many people in the world, over 14 countries, they are doing this. There are almost 1,000 people doing this, and they really change their life only by writing positive things every day. So every day we live our life every day, and then we eat every day. Like that, we really needed to eat food for our mind and soul and feeling. So we really needed to write positive things every day. If we create positive energy, they will work. Positive energy is working. So I want to recommend the people write down what is grateful things, or when did you smile, when did you feel happy today. So there are many chances, many things we can feel the happiness, joy, and smile. So in the beginning of 2020, I just talked to myself before pandemic. Sabrina, let's smile more, let's laugh more in 2020. That will lead your life. That was my uh, intention and goal. So in pandemic, I tried to keep think about that, even though situation is not good, but I try to keep my positive energy, and I just try to trust myself. And I always talk to myself, you're a very beautiful person, and today is very beautiful, and life is very beautiful. So I provided 100 days Facebook Live until 10th of August from May 2nd. So I just read the positive words, and then I explain to people every day, 15 minutes from 9:30 to 9:45, because I want to show gratitude to the Facebook friends, because they always push the like button and they encourage me. They wrote down something positive words. So I want to pay back to the people. So take the action to show your gratitude to the people around you, even Facebook friends or online friends. So now I feel more connected with the world and people in the world. So I really feel grateful and blessed. As I feel this, I think everybody is blessed. I hope that they can feel that.
I know that some do not, but I love the thought that actually, with some focused intention, you can tap into that positive energy. And I know what you're talking about with your Facebook. We'll put a little link for your Facebook group as well, your positive 100 days, because I think it's fantastic. Because a lot of the people who I've noticed who joined your group, actually they're people who have had pain, have had suffering in their world, and yet they still find the energy to focus in a positive way. I think I joined one of your live feeds when I was out with with my dogs, and you even sang some beautiful Korean song. I'm not going to ask you to sing without practicing. But you took the time even in that to translate the Korean song for me. I think I was the only English person who joined your group that day. Um, do you feel, Sabrina, because I asked this question because I do, so I'm interested in your view. I feel like the world has a chance right now to be, for the first time ever, completely empathic with their neighbor. Every one of us is experiencing the same thing at the same time. I know it's different in each country, but we're all in lockdown. We're all in stages of recovery. Do you feel that this is actually the positive that comes from this? Can this be a way of launching the way of the world so that we do become more positive, so that we can have more empathy for our neighbor? Maybe it's a real positive opportunity to come out of the darkness.
Yes, right. Actually, I have a very good relationship with the neighborhood, especially the older person who is 88 years old. She's living next to door. So I actually she lives alone. Her husband passed away a few years ago. And my mother passed away 11 years ago, and I am living with my father, so she lives alone. So I really share my food with her many, many times. I invite her to my place, and she invites me to her place because her son didn't visit her place last few months because of the COVID-19.
Right.
So I take care of her more. So that is one of my empathy for the neighborhood. Then I also take care of some small shops owners in neighborhood. So as I told you, the flower shop, beauty
Right.
salon shop, some hospital. So which I visit frequently. I just visit there and say hello, and I invite some lunch for them, something like that. Give us some small gift to encourage them. So we can do a lot of things for our neighborhood. So this time we can feel more connected with the neighborhood. Just to open and smile. That is sometimes enough for other people.
I think it's lovely because for me, your philosophy is about that connection. And I sense it's where we connected first of all as well, in an immediate connection. It's an important part of all relationships. And I feel as though what I'm hearing you say is that in spite of the fact that we all were forced to disconnect with each other, with some effort and attention, we can become more connected through this by making the effort. And by making that effort, actually, the results will be exponential because people will be more positive, the energy will be more positive. And it seems to me as though there's this kind of feeling, if I'm understanding you right, that it requires just a little effort on our part.
Yeah, just a little effort. So we don't need to put a lot of effort. If we feel kind of disconnected, we don't try to do something very much. We can just start very small things. Just a show smile first. That is enough to make people open their mind as well. So if there are some people who you really want to take care of, just be there and take care. As if you have some food to share, just to share it. Am I understand right?
Yeah, completely. And I think it's a really nice way. It's almost, it brought us full circle because we started off when you were talking about when it all started, the first emotion actually was a fear of, wow, what's going to happen? But actually what we've done is, as we've talked around the last half an hour, actually the focus really is on the positive side, whether it's building out your clients because coaching becomes more relevant. I still love your idea of mother leadership. I think this is just beautiful. But really the key message I'm hearing from you is with, focused attention, we can build up ourselves and help build up those around us. And with that kind of strength, you can normally cope with anything. For people who listen to this, what's your final message to them for this strange time we're living in? What's Sabrina's final message to them?
Feel your life and feel yourself. That is very important. So we can feel fear. We can feel some anger. We can also complain. So accept all those things. Accept your complaint, accept your fear, and have a conversation with them. That really help you to find the new normal and new life. You will experience a much more abundant life. Actually, I also asked myself, what are you so much afraid of? So, and I strongly can listen to my mind. I want to protect myself. And I think if I lose money, if I don't have money, what would happen? I just um, listen to my self very deeply. And someone told me, Sabrina, you will die because you have too much work. You will not die because of you do not have work.
Yeah, it's a good perspective. It's a good perspective.
So if you listen to yourself deeply, you can hear something which really inspire you and makes you laugh and makes you feel more positive about the pandemic. So
I think
here's
you've given us the title for this podcast episode is going to be "Feel Your Life" with Sabrina
yes.
Park. I think that's brilliant. Sabrina, thank you so much for joining me today. I've absolutely loved it. It's been fantastic. And I think we'll have to come back together again in a couple of months and see what's happening and what other learnings you can share with people, because I've really enjoyed the last half an hour. And you and I are coming together in about 10 days' time, I think, on a mini workshop online. So I will see you. I'll see you then, and we can talk positive energy with our coachees at that point.
Thank you very much, Brad. You're really wonderful leader who inspire me as well. And today is the most beautiful moment in pandemic days. Thank you very much for a gift today. I
Thank you.
appreciate your chance for me again.
I love it.
You.
Yes, you too. Bye. Bye.
Bye.